once Bruce Arians got this job, nobody was going to tell him how he could make his staff. And maybe that's part of the reason he took this Buccaneers job, that they said you can have full control over everything. Because Bruce Arians did something very rare. He employed 2 coordinators that were both minority candidates. Now, Bruce Arians may have realized that, may not have realized that. I don't know. He probably doesn't care. He might care. I don't know. But it's rare. Todd Bowles, as an African-American defensive coordinator, and Byron Leftwich, as an African-American offensive coordinator, ran the team. Bruce Arians was the figurehead. Bruce Arians obviously had input into things. But Bruce Arians absolutely entrusted those 2 guys. And entrusting Byron Leftwich, a guy that doesn't have years upon years as an assistant or championship belts or some type of A-listing in the coaching fraternity, to coach Tom Brady and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Gronk and Leonard Fournette and Antonio Brown, that takes some stones to say, okay, you got those guys. And again, Arians had a relationship with the offense, but he absolutely entrusted a great deal of this to Byron Leftwich. He also employed 2 other coordinators on his staff that were also black, special teams coordinator Keith Armstrong and run game coordinator and assistant head coach Harold Goodwin. So he had 4 black assistant coaches in very high positions on his staff. I don't know if he thought about it. He says he didn't. He says, I didn't care. I hired the best people. But for whatever reason, that is a rarity in the NFL. No other teams have that many people of color at the top of their food chain. And then you add to it that Bruce Arians had 2 full-time women on his staff. Pretty amazing. No other team did that. He did. And I've always said this about female coaches, about minority hires, about all different types of people, even if, no matter what their background is, even if they have a background similar to yours or mine. It's just about getting a diversity of opinion into that room to see of different ways to solve the same problems. I mean, it's the same problems that the NFL has been dealing with for 100 years. How do you stop the blitz? How do you run the ball on this down? How do you get a passing game opened up? How do you have an efficient snap and hold on the field goal? I mean, it's the same questions that you're trying to find the same answers to forever. Schemes change a little bit, but the fundamentals of football are the same. You're trying to win a football game by scoring more points and gain more yards and prevent more points than the other team. So I'm just about getting more eyes and opinions from different viewpoints on solving the same problems. It's the same problems, but how do you solve them differently? I think you need that. And so I just appreciate somebody willing to go, I don't care what it's looked like for 100 years. I'm going to do it my way, and I want a diversity of backgrounds and opinions to help solve these problems.